Hey everyone! In this video, I want to show y'all how I made this piece for my friend. It incorporates a lot of different wire wrapping techniques, and it has a secret tree on the back. So let's get started. I'm working on another custom piece today for one of my favorite people in known existence, I wanted to really make it special for her. I mean, she makes her own dichroic glass, but in addition to that, she sent me, with the glass that she wanted me to wrap, all of this, like a full ounce of 22 gauge round sterling silver wire, and I've never been able to work in sterling before because it's quite expensive. So to make this piece extra special for her, I'm gonna make a wire tree for on the back. And that's also something that I've never done before. So there's a lot of firsts here. So I cut myself 5 lengths, about, 9 inches long. And I'm just threading it through. This is a little enameled steel ring from the craft store. I'm just threading it through to about the halfway point, and then I'm going to do 3 wraps. There's 1, 2, yeah, so you can count 3 little rotations right around there. Sorry for all the city noises happening in the background. We live just a couple blocks over from the firehouse and on a pretty busy road, so there's always sirens going by. Okay, so you can see I've done that 5 times, and unlike some of the other trees that I've done, I want this one to have very minimal activity going on with the roots, just because it's a little bit smaller of a tree. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to wrap all of these branches, or all of these pieces of wire that will eventually become the branches, but and just kind of wrap and twist them together, just like that. The sterling immediately, it's half hard, so I think this might be better for like doing like wrapped loops or something, but this is much stiffer than the copper that I'm used to working with, so we'll see how it goes though. But because very typically I like to use dead soft. But other than that, it's behaving relatively well. I think I'd have been able to get a smoother trunk transition if I were using a dead soft instead of a half hard. And so I'm just kind of, this is probably one of my favorite simplistic ways to make a tree, because it's technically half the work because you don't have to go through and sculpt all of the roots as well. But I wanted as few little potentially pokey ends as possible. That way it doesn't bother her when she's wearing it. But it's like in contrast to the front of the piece that's so beautiful with so many different layers, the back was quite plain, and I thought that this would be a really nice kind of subtle way in tribute to, you know, the goddess that she is. She's just a really cool creative person, so I'm so excited that she chose me to wrap these pieces for her. So there we have those branches coming off like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping at least 3 times around each branch, or around each branch around the frame. And it does seem like the more I'm working at this wire too, the stiffer it's getting. So I'm glad I decided to go with a more simplistic piece. and just continue all these wrappings. Now also, with this being sterling silver, I don't want to waste a bit of it. It turns out I've cut these a little longer than what I had intended to, but I'll show you guys what I'm going to do with that. That way none of it goes to waste. Okay. All the little neighborhood noises. I think kids will be getting out of school soon, so the school buses will go by, so there'll be lots more dogs barking. Okay, now I've gotten to the center branch. So how I had been doing the coil, like the wrapping off to that side of it, now I'm going to mirror image it so it's going off in the other direction. Kind of continuing around. This is so exciting though, to get to be working in sterling. I just continue kind of wrapping around. Two branches. Set that off to the side. Now this piece is going to be another original kind of artsy-fartsy piece that I wanted to share the creative process with y'all. And also these videos are a little self-serving. They'll hopefully help me to replicate some of my designs in the future if I'm like, oh, so that's how I made it. As well as, you know, helping y'all in seeing the thought process and everything that goes into it. And it's also helpful to a lot of my clients to see how the pieces are made. Because I know somebody might come along as a lay person and be like, wow, you're charging that much for that. And then if you show them and you're like, you know, this is how it was made, then it gives them a much deeper appreciation of the art that goes into it, as well as a pride in, you know, in having it, being like, look at this art that is now mine. Now I'm going to be going through with my pliers and just kind of twisting and tweaking, and I'm still going to, I don't want there to be a single straight wire on this pendant if I can help it. So I'm going to see if I can get in here and all the little roots and stuff and not separate out the frame. And so I'm going to come up into the branches as well and just kind of tweak and turn and twist everything around. You can see this is why I don't snip it, because you can see how much it pulls. Like, check out this position. See how much that pulled? And so if I had snipped it, it would have tried to unwrap it. And so I'm just coming through and really just trying to make the branches look balanced and natural and like they grew, not like I just wrapped them. So there we are with our little wire tree. Kind of pretty simplistic. But now all of these branches that are radiating out, I'm gonna make cute little spirally leaves out of them, or try to. So I've wrapped it back around to where it's no longer in line with the branch. And part of that is to shorten it down some, and part of that is to just give it a little bit more of an offset position. And so you can see right there. And then on some of these longer ones, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to twist around like this. I mean, I want it to have a nice full leafy canopy. So if I can get more than one little spiral out of each, one little spiral leaf out of each radiating out branch, then I'm going to try my best to do that. And that one's wrapped around some, so you can kind of just position. I mean, use your artist's eye and really determine for yourself what you like where. Now, also with the nature of this half hard, heaven help us, the mailman. Dogs. It's not like he comes like every day. The dogs freak out every time. Poor mailman. So, just bringing in the coily little, and I'm going to kind of build off from the edges and towards the center. But yeah, the nature of this half hard wire is to not want to take a nice even curve as much. And you can even, I'm going to experiment a little bit with having the spirals climb up the branches in towards the rest of the tree. You know, this way it's not all just clustered there around the edge. And this whole time I want to make sure that it's not going to be snagging skin at all. Like, I want her to be able to wear this over a knit sweater if she feels inclined without it getting complicated. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap around that way. And now I'm going to wrap around the back side. Use my pliers here to kind of feed it through. And I'm going to coil inward, just like that. I'm just going to go around and make a bunch of happy little spirals. Trying to alternate the different directions that they're coming and going in. That way I don't have just, I want it to look natural and messy and wild. Just coming around. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off camera there if I did. It's a little harder on my fingers than what I'm used to, what with the being so used to dead soft. Okay, so now I'm going to tuck in some of these, or rather spiral in Some of these wild little branches poking out in different directions. I'm going to tuck that one through right there so that it actually comes out on the back side of the other branch. I mean, do what makes you happy with this, guys. I mean, it's art. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I don't think I'll ever be able to say that enough. You know, it's especially with more three-dimensional wearable art like this, I strongly feel like if it fits, if it's durable, if it's comfortable, and if it looks like how you kind of want it to look like, then you're successful. You did it. Congratulations. You know, it's like there's people who are like, oh, well, you did that wrong. And it's like, well, no, I mean, it came out how I wanted. So, you know, it's you're the judge on whether or not something was a success. And I don't believe in failures. The only failure is if you refuse to learn anything from it. But more often than not, there's always something to be learned from a botched experiment. Because it's like, even whenever I'm like, oh, that came out horrible, I didn't want it to like that at all. It's like, well, now I know for next time. And it's like, because otherwise it just gets so discouraging. And it's like, if you aren't enjoying this and if you feel defeated and downcast every time you make something and it doesn't come out the way that you want, then you're not very likely to pick your pliers back up. But if you treat everything like a learning experience and like, well, you know, yeah, it's not my best work ever, but I'm this much better for next time. You know, I know this much more for next time. Or I had fun, at least, you know. Because that's really the point of all of it, is if it's not fun, why do it? And there are some pieces that I don't have fun on, but I get, like, obsessively, like, challenged on them. And so the fun part isn't always, like, with the chainmail pieces especially. Whenever it's, like, 8 days of 10-hour days weaving, that's not the fun part. But the completed project is so gratifying and so, like, boom, I did that. That's the part that makes it worth it for me. So not all of them are as fun and enjoyable as making stuff like this, but look at that cute little tree, y'all. And so that really helped, I think, kind of flesh it out some. You're going to do some final positioning of some of the branches. And now from here, that will be able to just go centered up on the back. But I think what I'm going to do real quick is with my nylon jaw pliers, I'm going to come through, kind of squish it. I want this to be nice and flat, so it's not going to be like protruding out from the back of the pendant too much. So I just squish, 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 squish. And that work hardens it a little further still. And so now that will be able to go nice and centered up on the back. And let's talk about how we're going to be setting the rest of this real quick. For the rest of the pendant, I'm going to be using the silver-plated silver in 18 gauge parawire from www.parawire.com. That's where I get all of my wire, including these big 200-foot spools, in a nice kind of silvery color. And then I'm going to be using 26 gauge silver-plated titanium. Both of these are copper core, both of these are dead soft. And I like this one because it has, the titanium color has a really nice oxidized silver color, and it gives a nice contrast and layering to the lighter silver. So to do the distance around this, let's see if I don't have a piece of scrap wire laying about. Here we are. I'm going to grab a piece of scrap wire, and I'm going to gauge how, I'm going to measure the diameter. Circumference, sorry. Diameter is across. Circumference is around. And it's okay to go a little over or a little under, but I just want a good rough estimate. So that's how long the circumference of this piece is. So I'm going to add about 6 inches to that. This is about 6 inches long already, so I'm going to do 12 inches of the para wire, the 18 gauge. These will be my base core wires. And I'm going to do 5 lengths of that. So there's 1. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. Yeah, sorry. I've grown a nice little mess right here. And there's 5. Okay, so now I can set that spool off to the side. Okay. And I'm going to start with 2 full arm lengths of the 26 gauge. So there's 1, 2, and I'm 5'4", so if that helps at all. But I just grip it in one hand and then pull it out with the other until it's my full arm span. I did that twice and then I snipped. And I'm going to find the halfway point on all this wire because I'm going to be starting at like the bottom center. And I've actually decided I'm going to take out 3 of these and I'm going to replace them with much longer, like closer to 18 or 20 inches, because those are going to be my bail wires, and I want to have enough to to really do some decorative work on this if I decide to do that. I don't want to be limited at all by how much wire I've been working with. And I think I'm actually going to make this a 6-wire base instead of a 5-wire base. This is getting fancier by the minute. But because I want to try something a little different with the bail also from what I normally do. Okay, you can see here some of these wires are a little wonky. So what I'm going to do is, got my nylon jaw pliers, I'm just going to straighten them out at some. Excuse me. And I want the 2 frontmost wires to be the shortest ones. So I have the halfway point on my 26 gauge wire. Excuse me. And I have one of my shorter 18 gauge wires. And I'm starting in what is roughly the center. And I'm going to wrap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Just like that. And then I'm going to add in my second wire. And I'm going to wrap once. And then I'm going to add in my third wire. All the while keeping these relatively centered up. And I'm going to wrap once. keeping them kind of nice and tight and snug. Adding in my 4th wire. Again, trying to keep that nice and centered. Ish. Nice and centered-ish. Trying to remove as many obstacles from my work surface as possible. And some artists successfully use clamps and benefit a lot from that. I just use my hands. The clamps I've found just really get in my way, like a lot more than what they are beneficial. Adding in my 5th wire. But I also find that starting in the center really helps too, because it gives me all of this wire to hold on to. Again, around all of them, and I'm just wrapping around nice and snug across the back. And then I'm going to add in my 6th wire. Again, trying to keep it nice and centered up. And I want to incorporate as many symbols of nature as possible into this piece. So this pattern that I'm doing here, I want to emulate the radiant of the sun, kind of, you know, just radiating from the center. So I've come in 1. I've skipped this 6th wire. So then I'm just going to wrap around all 5, bringing it behind, and then I'm coming up in between those 2. Boop, boop, boop. And again, trying just my darndest to keep this nice and even, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully if I make it all inconsistent, it'll just be consistently inconsistent, maybe? Yeah, is that a thing? Sure. So now I've got it just wrapped around all of these ones, all of those 3. And I'm trying to keep it from splaying apart. And if you have troubles, gently separate them from each other. That way you can see what you're doing. Feed that through. I'm wrapped around just the 2 now. And then wrap around just the 1. And now, seeing as how I did 5 rotations right there, I'm going to do 5 rotations. So that was 1. So here's 2. And there's 3, 4, 5. Before we start the whole process again. And I'm going to repeat this off camera until I have the full diameter of the pendant. And I'm going to measure one more time, because I wouldn't mind hitting just a little under that way, because I want it to sit like right there. Do you see where that copper wire is sitting? So yeah, I could shave off like 3 centimeters. So this is my new mark. So I'm going to weave until I have that much, and then I'll meet y'all right back here. So here we have most of it done. I'm going to do one more rotation, then I'm going to demonstrate again. It's not as perfectly smooth and even and just tightly perfect as I would like, but it adds to the uniqueness of the piece, and I'm trying my best. So always room for improvement. Now, I wanted to show you guys through most of this, I'm coming through with my nylon jaw pliers, and this one has been compacted down and this one hasn't. That's all I do, is I come in and smush. I kind of really like the rounded look of the non-compacted, but I like the structure and rigidity, stiffness of the of the once it's been smushed. So I'm going to do one more, and as you're working, don't hesitate to kind of always go back through and like straighten your wires if you think that's going to be helpful to you. So just 1, 2, and then around 1, 2, 3. And I find it's usually pretty good as I'm working up to wrapping around all base wires. It's whenever I start coming back down that I start running into my wires getting smushed up. And of course it's not as bad now as what it had been, but like, see, like here, how this is all starting to get gathered together. Don't you dare hesitate to go in there and do what you feel like you need to do to make your life a little easier. It's because, I mean, like I've said, I don't know how many times, there's no wrong way to do this. There's no, oh, you shouldn't bend the wire like that. No, I wouldn't recommend taking them all and bending them at, you know, extreme right angles, but just going in and kind of pulling them apart some, totally okay. 4, 5 rotations. And so there we have that. And I'm gonna smush, just flatten that out nice and even. I really love how this gives like a flash. Go down. Okay, and now we have our length. And I'm going to take, here I have, like, it's a bead container that I store things in. It's just the top one that has a cap on it. And that's just a little off from, but very close to being the same size as the pendant. So what I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to take this and I'm going to start bending it around. This form. And so you can see how nice and flat that is. And then I'm going to take it and kind of gently pushing inward, like towards myself from the bottom and away from myself at the top. That's going to allow me to lay this out just a little flatter. And it's going to take quite a bit of gradual tweaking to get this to happen. But we'll get there. Hopefully. Now let's see. I'm going to see if I can't find a different mandrel. Here we go. And I'm going to make this actually quite a bit tighter, that way to account for the spring back. Now that's much closer to the size that I actually need it to be. So now I'm just starting from the center, kind of wiggling it around, easing that transition, just tiny little baby steps. But getting this to keep its rounded shape while still flattening out into that nice edge that we're going to want. So here we are. We're almost there. Because, I mean, I don't want it to be perfectly flat. I want it to have a little bit of doming dimension to it. And so that's how it's coming along. And I'm going to come in and with the remainder of my wrapping wire on each side, I'm going to continue coiling down the rest of the way. And I'm actually bend this out a little more so I can coil a little faster. And then I've demonstrated this in other tutorials, but just in case this is the first tutorial of mine that you've seen, I don't want to send you on a goose chase to other videos, so I'm just going to re-demonstrate the technique. of splicing in another wire. So you can see as I'm twisting this, there's a good bit of space in there. That's totally okay. And this is a little modified of a way than what I showed in my other video. So I'm going to use my pliers to butt down that loose end. And then working off the spool, which just means I'm not going to cut the wire. I've got myself a length of wire here. And I'm going to come and hold it in between those wires. And I'm just going to kind of wrap it and add it in between these other two, making sure that at no point is it crossing over. It's just coming in and nestling completely naturally in between the other ones. There's no crossing over or anything like that. This is a really fun technique for if you're using two different colored wires, that you can make it look almost like candy cane striped. And so I'm gonna just wrap down the tail here. Again, making sure there's no weird crossovers or anything like that. Tighten that in. Now, if I remember to, I'll still put a link in here somewhere for the other video that goes a little bit more in depth as to the how and why of all this. Ooh, and that's all kinds of like funny and bumpy. So what I'm gonna do is kind of twist and tighten it down in my fingers. I'm bracing it to keep it from twisting. And it looks like right there, I got a little bit of a weird crossover, and so it's bumping out. So I'm actually going to get in there with my wire snips that are all butchered on the tip. Oh, I'm going to have to grab different wire snips. I go through wire snips like I'm not even kidding, like a pair a month, easy. So I've trimmed that, just cut the wire, and so now I'll actually be able to get in there and butt both of those ends down. And have that be a nice continuous spiral still, without any kind of weird overlapping. Again, just smushing it down. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off camera there. Keep all your ends nice and tucked in. So that's a way of splicing, and that's a way of recovering from if your splicing goes wrong. And I'm going to continue coiling out to the tip here, and then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So I'll meet you all back here shortly. So here we are. It's actually the next day in Vaughn time. But I have finished coiling and splicing in on both lengths. And I do want to try to make sure that these are symmetrical. This one is at a little under 9 centimeters. And this one is right at 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to isolate this piece. Kind of pinch it off at 7. Open that up. Snip this wire like that. And I'm just going to pull off that coiled bit that I can save and re-thread onto a different piece. No wasted wire. Okay, so now that we have these two pieces symmetrical, I'm still not entirely like 100% positive what it is exactly that I'm going to be doing with them. So the front two shorter pieces on each side, I'm going to be bending off kind of towards the front of the piece. I'm not sure where we're going to be going from there, but I at least want them out of the way. For right now, I'm going to start working on the bail and attaching the back, which I think on the back I'm going to bend down. Here's one wire, and here's a second wire, just bended kind of down and around like that, because my idea for the back is this will all be cinched down and held down pretty well, and then I want this tree centered up, and then I'll probably use a thin wire, like a 26 gauge, to connect these wires to this one. And so I might have these kind of like decorative frame over that, or just something. Like, I just know that I don't specifically need them for the bail. I could actually split off two, and these might end up being decorative wires that come around on the sides. So I'm going to try to do a 4-wire bail. And this is something that I've only ever seen, excuse me, in other artists' work, but I've never tried it for myself. And as far as I'm aware, there's not a tutorial out there. So if there is, someone please link me to it so I can learn how to do this properly. But again, I really want to demonstrate to you guys that you don't necessarily have to have a tutorial. You can kind of just, you know, we're all inspired by each other in this art community. And I strongly feel like if one person says, oh, well, you know, I've never gotten any inspiration from anyone else, or this piece was entirely my own, it's like, well, you know, you still learned from someone somewhere along the lines, and it's, so I give credit for all of my designs to basically every wire wrapper I've ever seen, ever, because there's no telling how much of their work is stored in my subconscious that continually inspires me. So, no offense is intended if someone takes offense to my wire wrapping. And I know that intention isn't everything, but it can be a lot. Okay, just gonna kind of very gently, I don't want to put in any right angles. Come around. And I want to keep a nice round shape. It's a little more clustered up down here at the bottom than I would have liked, but I don't know if I can help that. Okay. So it's looking like I have 2 arm spans of the 26 gauge pulled off already. It's looking like, to get the size that I want. No, that's not gonna work. I need to do about 1 centimeter on each side of continued weaving. So what I'm going to do is come down to the tip of this. 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9. And just counting out, this made 12 rotations, so I'll try to remember that on the other side. Get this end tucked down very nice and snug and secure. I always address my ends as I'm doing them, because with some of the more complex wire wrapping, you don't have another opportunity to get in there and try to make that as smooth and perfect as possible. So I've just pushed it down. Excuse me. I've pushed it down as far as I can. This way. snugged up against the other wire wrapping. And I'm going to wrap 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry for the scratchy wire noises. 5. And then 1, 2. And then I think another rotation of 5. 1, 2, 3, oops, 4, 5. And so now from here, I think I'm actually going to snip my wire so that there's about 2 inches hanging off. This will give me room to splice into something else. And I'm going to come over to this other side. I'm so sorry for all the scratchy wire noises. It can't really be helped. And I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let that end down. I'm going to do 2 more wraps. 1, 2. And now I'm going to bring this all the way down. And wrap 1, 2. And then 1. Oops. Just want to isolate the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and wrap around both. 1, and then 2. And then I'm going to do the 5 more around just the 1 to get, again, to try to achieve that symmetry. 2, 3, 4, 5. And so now from here, let me double check one more time before I start working on the bail. I want to make sure that this is a good size, and that seems to be a pretty good size. So I'm going to come in with, let me find my flat nose pliers. Excuse me. Flat jaw, flat nose. And I'm going to take it and I'm just going to bend both of these up at a 90-degree bend. I'm going to do that to both sides. Okay, so now from here, I want to join these two. I'm going to keep that off to the back. So that's our outer one. The 2 wires towards the back will be the outer wires, and then we have our 2 inner wires. And I'm going to wrap around both of them once, just to give a nice solid start, and twice. So that is nice and, I mean, really cinched together. And so now from here, I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to start the weave. And then, like most of my bails, it's going to kind of build outward. So I'm going to wrap around 1, 2, and then I'm going to catch both here on the side for 1, 2, and then I'm going to go 1, 2. So it's just like how we were starting here, but I went 1, 2, and now I'm going to wrap around 1, 2, wrap around both. So there's 1, 2, then wrap around just the one. So there's 1, 2, and then I'm going to wrap around 1, 2. Now that's a little more spread out than what I would like, so I think I'm going to go into a 1, 1 rotation instead of a 2, 2 rotation. So I'm always going to do 2 on here, but then I'm going to go, well, no, but I'm going to keep going and see what it does for us. So there's 2 on there, and then 1, 2, bring it around, and there's 1, 2, and these wires on the side are going to end up being like smooshed together, like really tight, just like these ones. So there's 1, 2, there's 1, 2, and then I weave around to the back. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So there, hopefully y'all can see how that's starting to come together. I just know that this is totally not coming out like how I thought it would, but I'm really liking it, so I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to bring this out about, oh, how far am I going to bring it out? About 2 finger width, so about 1 inch, before I start tapering it downward. So let me get it out that far, and then I'll join you guys back here again whenever I start bringing it downward, so that y'all can see. I always have difficulty doing the decrease. Like, it's easy to stack it, but whenever you're doing the decrease, the wire has such a tendency to want to slip towards the narrow end. But so we'll work through that together. So I'll meet y'all back here shortly. Okay, so this is how far we've come. Just a hair over 2 finger widths. And then what I'm gonna do, I guess, is kind of just gently angle these sides in. But I mean, I really like how that came out, and it gave it a much more open weave. So I'm excited to see how this translates into the rest of the bale. And so I'm hoping that since I'm stabilizing in multiple spots on the sides here, that it won't have as much of a tendency to want to slide down the wire. I just now have to make sure that I keep it nice and straight, and that I keep hooking around the correct wires. Coming from below, just wrapping around. So there's 1, 2, then on both. So there's 1, and then 2, and then yeah, 1, 2, and then from below I'm going to wrap around Y'all, this seems to be working. 1, 2, around both. But yeah, doing the more stabilized wrapping on the sides really makes it not slide down as much whenever I do the crossover. I think that just looks neat just by itself, just the contrast between the light, open, airy weaving and the dense structural weaving on the edges. I'm really liking them. I'm digging it. Okay, so there's 1, 2. My poor little fingernails getting torn up already, and my calluses are getting sore. 1, 2. But I dare not complain because I am so thoroughly enjoying making this piece. Oops, I accidentally hooked around both. So just 1. There's 1, 2. Okay. 1 and 2. And 1 and 2. Again, trying to keep that as tight and snug as I can. This might just become one of my new favorite ways to do bales altogether. Because I mean, I don't feel like it's particularly more demanding than a regular interweave. But we shall see. 1, 2. And so I'm just going to keep going like this. Again, I think I'm going to go off camera for a bit. I don't know, we're almost there. I'll keep hanging out with y'all. 1, 2, cross over. 1, 2. Because I'm trying very much to decide what on earth it is that I want to do past this point. Like, I don't really think ahead as much as I maybe should. But that's part of the adventure, I think, is being like, oh, well, this isn't what I planned, but this is what's happening. And just kind of running with it. And I find that those are the times whenever, if I go in without a plan, that's whenever I get the most creative and come up with stuff that I normally, would have never thought to do. I think going in with a plan and a purpose are two different things. Because, like, the purpose for this piece is to stabilize this. And I go in with a few key elements that I want a tree on the back. I want the really nice geometric, framing. And then, but leaving the rest of it open from there kind of forces me to work within the preset parameters of, well, I need to make sure that this stone is staying in, and I need to incorporate these elements. Okay, go. So it gets me pointed in the right direction, but from there I get to kind of be ultra creative, and that's what I really enjoy about this. So there's 1 and 2. It looks like I'm getting to the last couple, because you can see, I mean, it's getting kind of snug. So at this point, I think I'm going to... Somebody just drove by in their tractor. Oh, I love it. So... 1, 2. What I've done here is I just made the wires, instead of coming in at each other perpendicularly, they're now parallel. And this is so that, because I want this part here to be centered up, I think. I don't really know. We'll see. So there's 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, and then 1 and 2. So I think I'm going to leave this at this for just a moment. And let me find a knitting needle. I'm using a size 11 or 8mm knitting needle. Kind of centering it up. And I'm going to start bending our wrapping around. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. And this way everything can kind of lay just how it's gonna. And then, oh y'all, look at that. Oh my. I think I do enjoy that very much. Yeah. Okay. So now from here, we have this little bit of wire that I had left for splicing, and I'm actually going to feed it through to the back because I want something that will start stabilizing. Like these 2 points I want completely joined together. And so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to get that one out of the way. I'm going to be wrapping around this wire right here. So I'm going to wrap once, grab with my pliers, making sure to not put any kinks in the wire, and tighten down. And so like that. I'm going to grab it, pull it up. Okay, and so now from here, I'm going to kind of do a wide coil because I'm going to be splicing in more wire. And I want to make that nice and easy on myself, and I don't want to waste any of this. So I'm just going to coil around like that. Go ahead and butt the end down. And so now whenever I go through and do whatever weaving and coiling pattern I'm going to do on this side, it's already stabilized, and it's already got some splicing started. And so from here, I think, oh, I don't know, it looks a little naked right there. And so I think what I'd like to do is on these back two, I think I want to do a weaving pattern and have it arc and curve, like kind of that way, and maybe we'll use a little bead or something. So should I leave these guys bare? Because there's so much bare wire here on the sides that I don't want everything else to be completely coiled. Yeah, I think these ones are going to stay as they are, just bare and coiled. And then I'm going to do this 5-2 wrap, kind of. Yeah, like how we were doing here, where it's you wrap 2 on both, and then 5 on one, and then 2 on both. I'm going to repeat that motif around on... Do I want to do that on these ones, or do I want to do that on these ones? Because on these ones, I'm thinking I might put in more spread stuff, because I absolutely love that. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to go off screen, and I'm going to do a 5-2 wrap on the rest of the bail extensions, extending the same motif that we have going on through the edging of the bail. So I'm going to do that on both of them, and then I'll meet y'all right back here. Okay, so this is how it's coming along, and I'm very excited about that. But the next step that I think I'd like to do is going to be to actually attach the back. And I think the way that I'm going to do this is I have a full arm span of the 26 gauge wire, and I'm going to find the middle of it by lining the ends up and hooking it on my finger like that. And feeding through, kind of have this bottom center right there. So I want to feed through on just one side of that. Oops, sorry, did not mean to go off camera. And so I've fed the wire through, and I'm just gonna keep, oh goodness. Okay, so I have the wire equidistant on either side, and I have it coming out right here. So I'm going to take the other end and I'm going to thread back through on the other side. So this way you can actually see it's just going to be hooked right over that one part right there like that. Boop. Just like so. I'll lay it on its tummy or on its front. So here you can kind of see. I'm going to try to emulate this zigzag pattern from the bail on the back side of this pendant and centering the tree up on it. So I'm kind of just going to be sewing it on. I'm just threading through a spot on the tree. If I could get this to be all nice and even, that would just make my day. But for now, I'm just going to focus on getting it attached. I'm going to feed through from the back side because I think that's easier. Grabbing it. I want to make sure I don't get any kinks in the wire. And I don't want to pull too far in one direction and then have it, be smushed too much over onto one side. So I'm going to thread through my tree again. And it coming through the back side. And I'm using where these, the rays are of the wire wrapping on the front section. I'm using those to control the distance between my, weaves. Because, ish. Again, making it up entirely as I go. And I don't mind at all if the back looks a little rougher than the front, because I need to give it a little bit more of maybe an organic look and feel. Because on the back side here, I don't want to take away from the tree at all, but I do need this to be comfortable and secure. So there we go. There's our nice little tree on the back. Flipping it around. The front is not centered. Oh no. So I'm going to take it and kind of scooch her around with my fingers a bit. Oops. So fortunately she doesn't seem to slide around too much. The cabochon doesn't. But I definitely need her to scooch around for now and get centered. I guess I should have paid a lot more attention to that. There we go. Whenever I was setting her. And so now from here, also now that the tree is secured, I can kind of make our frame be a little flatter. And I want to line her butt up with her head with the bail. So there we are. And now I have these wires coming off the sides here from where we stabilized the tree to the back. And I think it is going to be with these wires that I'm going to do the weaving on these sections. So I have it coming underneath here, just like that. I'm going to come around from this side. Chi-chi. And I'm going to start doing just a 1, 2, and then come around from the other side. And 1, 2. And then I'm going to come around to the front. Nope, it was to the back. Okay. 1, 2. And keep kind of like just a nice little split. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go 1, 2. And what this is accomplishing is it's giving me an expansion on this side, so it's going to help it to kind of curve around. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. And then 1, 2, 3. So it was the third time of doing that, so now I'm going to go into 4. So there's 1, 2, and here's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 1, 2, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 1, 2, and you can see here, I mean, doing 4 gives you a slightly more exaggerated expansion than just doing it with 3, and if you did it with 5, it would give you an even more forceful one still. And so it's just, it's going to be based entirely on what you're going for. And I'm still not entirely sure what I'm doing here yet. This just felt like the natural thing to do, kind of expanding off the side and having something kind of come around. So let's do some more sculpting here, guys, and figure out what it is exactly that I'm going to be doing in my life. Get those wires up out of the way. So here, I'm kind of pulling these ones off to the side. And again, you can use the pattern on the edges to keep into context. Like this one is following around on the diagonal of that, so I'll make this one follow around on the diagonal. I mean, it's just little bits of symmetry happening here and there. And then I'm going to have this one follow around on the next one. Because I like that little bit of spreading, I think. Or do I want it butted up against it? Oh, I like that little bit of spreading. I think I'm going to bring this up and around to in front, perhaps? I think to fill that void, I'm going to kind of fold this around into the front, just like so. No, I don't think I'm going to have it go under those loops. In fact, this might be a perfect time to have them kind of intertwine and entangle themselves together. I actually think I've got my round nose pliers here. I'm going to go ahead and start a little spiral on each end, just because as you make curves and stuff, the coil will expand farther down, and I don't want to lose my little tips here. Choo choo. So there, I've got cute little spirals now. And I think I'm going to bring this one up and around just where it's laying right there. And I'm going to use the tip of this knitting needle to kind of give it a little bit of a bend in it without making any kinks. Sorry, I'm lost in thought. And I didn't feel like having a yelling contest with the train because something tells me it might win. So I really like how that's kind of wrapping and spiraling around. So I'm going to go ahead and start the weaving over on this side to get it to happen kind of symmetrically. Or try to. I still don't know entirely what I think of right there. Oh, heaven help us, the mailman's here. Seriously, every time? I guess I function on mailman hours. And like my favorite time of day to film is right whenever the mailman's coming. Okay, so from here on the back, I come around. One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. Also, mentally in my mind, I kind of keep track of what I'm doing right here by being 2 sets of 2, 3 sets of 3, and then I did 2 sets of 4 so far, but I think it's going to end up being 4 sets of 4. And that just helps me, again, another little thing to help me keep things symmetrical. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry about that train, y'all. It's just, that's just how it is here. 1, 2. Am I doing this on the wrong side? Oh, I am. Okay. Well, now I get to show you guys how to straighten your wire back out whenever you do all your weaving on the wrong side. So I'm just carefully uncoiling as best as I can. 1, 2. Then I'm going to leave those 2 in. So I have a tool called nylon gel pliers, and you can see just how crinkled that wire is. I'm just going to reach in there. And it straightens it out, I mean, pretty well. Not perfect, but better than it was for sure. Okay, I want to do this for the front so I don't mess up again. So this is the side I'm expanding on. Note to self. there's 1, 2, 3. There's 1, 2, and there's 1, 2, 3. There's 1, 2. Here's my third set of 3. So there's 1, 2, 3. And there's 1, 2. And there's... So this will be my first one of 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it's just one little, I mean, not even a full millimeter difference, but it adds up. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's 1, 2. So it's ended as symmetrically to the other side as possible. So there we are. So let's see, how did this happen? This comes around, and that comes around, and then I'm going to make it curve. Go on my finger this time instead of a knitting needle. So there's that. And now I'm just going to coil in that little spiral on the tip that I'd started making, and I'm just gripping real firm with my fingers and then cinching it in. And this is where having everything kind of pre-measured really can help. It's easier to measure a straight piece of wire than it is to measure one that is already coiled up. And they didn't come out perfectly symmetrical, but again, I think that's okay. So now I have these bits of wire coming off to the sides. I think before I go too much further, I'm going to continue weaving on these and kind of see what happens. Because I'd like it to build out a little three-dimensionally, maybe off to the sides. So I'm going to continue around. I think I'm just going to keep it at 4, but oh, and I don't know if I should do this on camera or off camera. I'll do one side off camera, and then I'll come back and show y'all how I did it on the other side. So I'll meet y'all right back here. Okay, so I have a slight problem. I absolutely love how it's come out. I have no idea how I did it. I mean, so now y'all will get to experience with me the first-hand awfulness of having to figure out how to replicate something that you already did. So I did do 4 repetitions of 4 before decreasing back down to 3. So I'm going to do that part first because that's something that I'm pretty sure I did that. 2, 3, 4, crossing through to 1 and 2. But I mean, I had a really good time though, and I think it made a really nice kind of expansion into like being more of the foliage, which isn't necessarily what I was going for, but it's how it evolved and how it's happened. So yeah. feels like a storm is blowing in, which might bum me out because I have to ride my bike to Master Gardener class this evening, and I really hope I don't get rained on. 1, 2, so there's my second set of 4. Now also, what happened is I did have this positioned down here, and I didn't like that empty space, so I ended up kind of twisting and settling that right there. So we can go ahead and do that and get that placed. That way it kind of sits where it's going to go. And then I'm going to do the first rotation at 3. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. Now let's see what else happened here. It looks like I went ahead and put a coil on this part. So what I'm going to do is 1, 2, 3. There's 1, 2. So as this came around, this bottom wire here became the spiral. And then this one up top got coiled down the rest of the way. Okay. Okay, I'm starting to get a grip on it. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's definitely, it was such a nice warm breeze today, but now there's definitely a cold front kind of coming, like the breeze is cutting cold. 2, 3. I'm also gonna have it all. So this kind of gets cinched and coiled this way. See how that's happening? So before I get too much farther in, two, 3, 4, 5, 6. So sorry. I'm going to go ahead and scooch this over a bit more so that I stop going off camera quite so much. There we go. Okay, and I usually give myself the distance from my finger wrinkle to the tip of where my finger flesh stops. Just like that. And so that way, that's another, using my body parts to measure pretty consistently gives me, it's like, oh, how long did I make that? Well, probably a finger length, just because I'm a creature of habit. So I'm going to go ahead and coil that in. And if y'all are following along on this piece with me, please feel free to use your own artistic vision and ideas and different things in this part. Don't ever feel like you have to follow along with what I'm doing. I do these tutorials to share the techniques and processes that I use, but I'm in no way, like, there's no right or wrong way to do this. I just wanted to share the concept. And also, if you make things based off of my tutorials, please feel free to sell them. I mean, you're the one who got the materials and the tools, and you're the one who put in the time and the effort to make the piece that you made. And I feel like, you know, if you want to sell that out of your booth or off of your website or, you know, whatever, go for it. So, no, I don't mind a bit if you point people in my direction for the tutorials to kind of share and spread the knowledge. But, I don't know. I don't hoard the techniques. It's, I'll do an origin story video where I talk a little bit about some of my first experiences with other jewelry artists, who were quite negative and hoardy and generally just, I mean, I understand, I empathize with where they're coming from because it can get to where it feels a little cutthroat, but you're talking to a crafty person. If somebody comes up and asks you, hey, where'd you get this? Or, oh, hey, how do you do that? Or, it's like they're probably craftily inclined anyhow. And, I mean, you can be nice and supportive and encouraging to them, and they'll remember you for always as somebody who was not a jerk. Or you can be a jerk and be like, well, I've been in a guild for 8 years. I mean, that's what the lady told me. And, I mean, we were at I'll just tell you the story now. I was in high school, so I mean, obviously a threat to her business. And Randy and my best friend and I were at the Renaissance Festival. And this lady had really awesome bead strung jewelry. Like, she clearly had a good eye for shape and color and drape and all those different things. And I was proudly wearing my very first piece of, I'm going to coil this one also. It was the one that was coming out of here. I'm going to go ahead and coil it. But I was wearing my very first tiger's eye necklace that everything on it I'd gotten from like Hobby Lobby. And it had like, memory wire for the base that I strung just a bunch of like chip beads on, and it was like one of those little teardrop tiger's eyes that they were selling at the time. And I didn't have any jewelry clasps, so I used an old earring hook that I had bent up to make like a hook and eye clasp. So I mean, that's the level of jewelry making that I was at. A high school kid using found and finagled objects and Hobby Lobby stuff, which is nothing wrong with Hobby Lobby stuff. I use a lot of it now. But it's like, I don't feel like in retrospect that I was someone who could have been perceived as a threat to her art, or as someone who was like encroaching, or, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what she was experiencing. I only know my perspective, and that's what I'm sharing with y'all today. But I'd asked her, I was like, wow, where did you get these beads? Because she had these really cool, like 6mm square cut lapis lazuli. And I was like, oh my God, I've never seen these at Hobby Lobby. Where'd you get them? And she looked down her nose at me and like pet her like necklaces that she was wearing and was like, I've been in a guild for 8 years and we only exclusively, and I was like, what? Like, how do you get into the guild? And she wouldn't answer any of my questions. It was like, I was just somebody trying to learn more. Like, I don't know. I don't understand why someone would have replied that way. Except for to make herself feel more special by behaving like she's better than somebody else. Which, I mean, I don't know. It left a really bad taste in my mouth, and I had a goal for myself to never be that person, because that was just awful. Like, it put a gray pallor over like the next 30 minutes of my life. But I was at the Ren Fair with my two best friends, so I mean, I couldn't stay bummed out. But it's still, for me, even now, 10 years later, 12 years later, Randy and I just had our 12-year anniversary. Gosh, that's 12 years. She still stands out in my mind as someone as an example of how not to be. And so, I hope that my generosity with sharing what I know and my techniques and where I get all my materials and stuff will encourage and inspire y'all to spread the knowledge and the learning as well. Because I learned regardless of whether or not she was helpful, whether or not anybody really I've come across was helpful. But I tell you what, it has enriched my life to come across people who are also generous and also giving and encouraging. And I think it benefits everyone to be generous in the art community, because things that I've learned now, surely some of my friends who, taught me wire wrapping can look and see and learn from what I've learned. And, it just helps all of us grow. I've certainly learned a lot from the folks who have taken my tutorials or watched my tutorials and made the projects here on YouTube, as well as my classes at conventions, just getting a completely different perspective. And it's like, it blows my mind all the time how talented y'all are. And it inspires me to keep pushing and growing. So that's the kind of community that I'd like to nurture. So please go forth and spread the love and the learning and the artisan education to the best of all of our abilities. So I'll get off my soapbox now. Pretty much. Okay. Now this one here, I am going to tighten down just a little bit more. I want this loop to be a little smaller. So I'm going to... Oh, hush, puppy. If I can make it smaller. I don't know if I can. Now it seems to be pretty much stuck where it's at. Okay. I'll accept it as it is. So we've gotten this coiled, and we've gotten this coiled mostly. I'm going to continue coiling around. So I'm going to open that up just a bit with my fingernails. And I'm going to do a full arm span of this, oops, 26 gauge wire. That way, I can use the extra to do some tie downs that I'll show you guys here in a little bit. And now I've spliced this apart, and I want this to lay in the same direction as what we were doing. And so I'm just gonna kind of spiral and lay it in between. And I want to be real careful to not do any weird overlaps or anything like that. So let's see if this is still going to work for me. It looks like I've got a weird overlap right there. So what I want to do is I'm going to go in and I want to snip it. And then I'm going to pull that off. And then that's going to be where my join starts. Where my splicing starts coming in. But yeah, I just don't understand. Maybe somebody was that way towards her, and that's just how she deals with it. But I don't understand perpetuating, and because that's not cruelty, it's not. She didn't tell me what I wanted to know, but in front of her apprentice and the other people in her booth and my friends, and to just be so demeaning, I felt like that was unnecessary. Because she was gloating about it, and it's I really don't appreciate when people are jerks. So, but yeah, it's at least for me personally, it brings a whole lot more joy to help y'all out, help other folks out as much as I can. I try to not go around throwing around unsolicited advice, but if anybody ever asks me, then I'll tell them anything that I can. And, give them a business card and redirect them to my YouTube, but at least I'm upfront about it. I'm going to work some of these kinks out. You can see here the wire got a little gnarly, so I'm going to straighten that out some. Because if you stop the kinks before they become a problem, then you'll be a lot better off, I think. You can see here, this is lazy man's coiling. Oh, that doesn't work. The pendant's a little too heavy for it. But I can take the end here and turn it in a bit to essentially shorten the wire. That way it'll be easier to go like this. So we coil a bunch, smush it down, keep it nice and tight. And then I'm going to coil a bunch. And go smush it down. So, talk to me a bit. Like, what are y'all's experiences and thoughts? Because it's like, I get a lot of people who are like, you shouldn't be giving this information away for free. And I'm like, well, when I feel a need to give it away for free, though. Because it's, I mean, whenever Randy and I first started our business, we were seriously poor. Like, I mean, we're broke all the time now, but that's because, you know, I spend all of our money on stuff and things. And, you know, we're working to pay off student loan debt. And it's like, but we aren't poor the way that we were. Fortunately, thank goodness. But he was stuck working at Walmart. Because that's the town that we lived in, was you either worked at the local factory or you worked at Walmart. And the factory did layoffs every 6 months. So, you know, in between his rounds of working at the factory, he would go and work at Walmart. Because otherwise you had to drive like 45 minutes to the next town over. And we didn't have the money to move to a different town, you know. It's just kind of stuck in this perpetuated cycle of just being broke all the time and poor. It's like, I mean, no savings, no anything. And I was working at like a little like metaphysical head shop that was like awesome. Like I loved it. But again, the little town that we were in wasn't really the kind of town to support a metaphysical head shop. And so, really another train? That shop closed. And so I was out of work and Randy was working at Walmart and we were both going to college online because, I mean, we had the one vehicle and it was not even reliable, you know, to get Randy to work. And I wasn't willing to go and live on a campus because it's like Randy and I didn't want to go to the same college. Like we'd have been going for two very different things. And they wouldn't have let us dormed together. And it's like, I mean, we were basically married, you know, and it's like they don't really let you take your husband with you to live in your dorm when you're going to college. So it was a complicated situation with a lot of nuances that, to do, I guess, what we should have done, you know, to have improved our life, but would have required things that we weren't willing to sacrifice. You know, we weren't willing to sacrifice getting to be together. Which I think has really paid off, you know, in hindsight. But at the time, we were just kids, you know. Because I moved in with him when I was 17. Excuse me. And so he was working at Walmart. I was going to college and was jobless. And I started, like, he had gotten me for a Christmas present a chainmail kit. And so, of course, I had to make all of the different weaves that I could learn. And I was so grateful to the websites for cgmail.com and, like, mailartisans.org, where it was a free database of all of these different weaves and things. And it was artist uploads. So I was learning a lot from the online community. But there weren't really a whole lot of YouTube videos at that time for stuff like this. And if there were, I was completely unaware of YouTube. Like, I didn't watch nearly as much YouTube then as I do now. Like, back then, I didn't even have, like, a Facebook or anything. So there wasn't Facebook groups. There wasn't, you know, I didn't know how to network. But we went and we did a craft show there at the local art center. And I'm not saying that the town that we lived in was podunk, but it only has, like, 7,000 people. And so this isn't exactly, like, a really, really good craft show. Like, you know, with like tons of people. Like, we didn't expect to do a whole lot. Now that train's just being obnoxious. But we made more at that one craft show than what he did all month at Walmart. And that's when we looked at each other and we were like, this is an option. This is something that, you know, I don't know if it was sympathy bias, because looking back at our old work, oh my god, I can't believe anybody ever bought anything from me. But, I mean, guys, I'm not bragging or anything, but we made $500 in 2 days for, like, a $30 table at a craft show. That was a huge deal. Like, I mean, even now looking back, like, that's awesome. Because, I mean, minimum wage has gone up a lot by then, or since then. Like, minimum wage at the time was like 5 something. Like, I think it was like $5.75 maybe in Tennessee. So, I mean, you can see that, like, so it might have been like at least a 2-week paycheck at Walmart, but in 2 days to make that kind of money. And so immediately I took some of that and registered for more craft shows. And it was being able to learn these skill sets. This is the moral of the story in a very roundabout way. The point of the story was that by learning these marketable skill sets and using my own dedication and perseverance and hard work, and Randy's too. I mean, he's been there for me every single step of the way. He's so good at like sales and stuff. But we were able to pull ourselves up out of this pit of extreme poverty that we were basically living in. And it was just, I want to pass on these opportunities to other folks that, if you're looking at it and you're like, I have money to get a spool of wire or to get a tutorial, I want you to be able to invest your money into the tools and materials that you're going to need. And I'm going to share my knowledge with you as much as I can so that you can try your best to do your best and, just pursue your dreams that way. But, because, I mean, if you, watch the advertisements or, just, we do make a little bit of money off of YouTube and Patreon and things, but it's like, this is my way of giving back to all the people who were so giving to me and to Randy and so supportive, and all the people who did buy stuff from us just because we were young and cute and didn't have any money and they felt bad for us. I mean, we used to sleep in our van when we would go to conventions. That was our first convention, was Chattacon in 2008, so 9 years ago. Chattacon in Chattanooga, Tennessee in January, and it rained all weekend and we both got so sick. But no, we slept in our van. And you can always tell, like you'll look around the dealer's room, the other vendors know when the other people have slept in their van, because it's like you look like you haven't had a shower in 3 days and you're just dead tired and exhausted. And I mean, it was a really nice van, don't get me wrong, but you're sleeping in a vehicle in 30-degree weather for 3 nights. But that first convention though, we made like $700. And I mean, now it's like that doesn't seem like a whole lot, but at the time, that honestly that barely covered our cost, because that van broke down and we had to get it fixed. But it's just, so yeah, when people say, oh well, you need to charge more for your work, or you need to sell your tutorials, it's like, well, I could, but do you have half an hour to listen to this story about why I'm not going to do that? So thanks, you guys, captive audience, for listening to me jabber on about stuff. Okay, so we have this right here. Back to jewelry time. Okay, and so I've gotten all that work coiled. I hope that wasn't too boring for you guys. I'm so sorry. Like, y'all didn't sign up for that. You're like, lady, I'm here to learn jewelry. Please stop talking to me. Okay, so this one comes around and is actually going to be coming on top so that you can see, how that's kind of threading on top and around. And this comes up a little higher. And so this is going to come, I'm going to go ahead and put the loop in the tip of this so that this coil doesn't slide off the core wire. Sorry, I get kind of choked up every time I think about how hard we've worked over all these years, just to try to get to where we are now, and how blessed we've been, and how happy I am that it has worked out, and how excited I am too that, hopefully Randy and I will get to go on lots more adventures together. Okay, so there's that. It's coming around. I'm going to twist underneath. Trying to mirror image that happening right there. But yeah, if you guys, please, y'all sat here and listened to me jabber on about my stuff. I want to hear about y'all. What got you into making jewelry? What are your hopes and dreams with all this? Like, you know, it's big talk about community, but I mean it. I want to hear about you guys and learn about you guys. You know, there's a few of y'all that send me private messages on Facebook with like, look at what I made today. And it's like, y'all make my day when you send me that stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, look at what you did. So, yeah, leave me a comment down below, guys. I want to hear from you. So, I mean, still not perfectly symmetrical, but it's a start. Like this one, the coiling didn't, like the weaving did not come nearly as far down as it did over here. But, I mean, if I hadn't pointed it out, I might not have really noticed it. Okay, so I have this coiled up off to the side, like that. Now this one here, I'm going to go ahead and... This part came down. And behind. Just like that. And it coiled kind of down and in front of this little guy. And it went underneath right here. Yeah. Ooh, I like that. And then it came down like this on the back. Well, I gave myself way more to work with on this side. So I think it's going to be a little asymmetrical. And I think that's going to be alright. Okay, so I'm going to do that much. Okay, so I coiled a good bit more than what I needed to. Should have paid attention, coiled both sides symmetrically, but it's not what I planned, but this is what's happening. So I'm going to get in there and snip. Good gravy. It's best if you can isolate just one little, like that. Just one little thin wire. I need some new wire snips so bad. Maybe after the show this weekend. We're going to be down at the time of filming. There it goes. We're going to go do a show in Branson, Missouri called VisionCon. And I'm really excited about that. I'm going to put together a video like how I did last time for AzumiCon of all the cool cosplays and stuff that we see. So hopefully that'll be good. Okay, and I'm going to bring the coil in this way because I'm trying to mirror image this one. Wait, that's from a different one. Oh no. Okay, so it's not going to be perfectly symmetrical. Let's see what happens. I guess I'll do this side. So this one kind of comes around. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to grip it. And I'm going to start just curling this spiral around. I got it started, so now I'm going to continue it with my fingers. Like that. And now I'm going to grip here. And I'm going to coil this in. Oops. Now those ones I did measure, so they did come out pretty symmetrical. Good job, Vaughn. Now you can see here I had this one. It curls from down below, from underneath the frame. And I'm just going to grip. And I'm going to start coiling or spiraling in rather. Keep that nice and flat. Bring those two sides in together. Tuck that in, smush, smash it on down. And so that helps stabilize over there. And now, let's see, well, I used up all that wire basically that I was going to use to stabilize. So I'm going to pull myself off maybe about, you know, a forearm's length, so maybe like a foot, 12 inches. And I want to stabilize these little coils to the sides. That way, if the client is wearing this, I don't want there to be any risk of it getting snagged in that happening. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to feed through from behind. And you can kind of make a little bit of a curved needle just with your fingernails. But yeah, I'm going to come up from behind, trying to fit in between the weave of the wires of like the initial frame. And I'm giving myself about 2 inches there to just hold on to, because I'm going to get that tucked away somewhere else. And I'm going to feed back down and through. I'm kind of just basically going through and sewing it down with my with the wire to the base frame. Really pull down and try to get it nice and secured and in there to where you can't really tell that there's an additional wire. Now this one here, that needs stabilized too. So I'm just gonna come around from below. Basically wherever I can fit it through. So I'm just kind of like poking and cramming now. Making just a little bit of a curved needle. There it goes. And then I'm going to use my bent nose pliers to try to guide this up through my spiral, my little spiraled piece, which I guess instead of doing that, I'm just going to pull it through and then wrap it around like this. I can use my fingernail to open that up some. And then I'm going to come down, and I'm actually just going to hook through where I've already woven. Don't make it harder on yourself than it needs to be. You know, get that kink out of it. And now I'm going to feed up and through the back side here. Again, just open it up just a hair with my fingernail, just enough to get that wire through. Make sure it doesn't get any kinks in it. And now from here, I'm just going to feed it on through just like it were another wire holding the tree in place. And so now that is nice and solid. And relatively symmetrical. Boom. And I'm just going to come up now from the other side and try to stitch everything on in a similar fashion. Bring that down. Yeah, I really like that. Oh, this is so exciting. Yeah, that's gonna need grounded. Grounded. I think I'm gonna cheat again and thread it from behind the tree. Again, don't make it any harder than it has to be. Gonna open this little coil up. Banana potatoes, do do do. I don't know why I get these songs stuck in my head. Okay, it's feeding up through just like that. And now I'm going to stabilize it attached to the tree. It's a really nice breeze. So nice. Beautiful day. Okay. And now I'm going to go back to this initial wire I had done. And you can actually stabilize it onto itself. Almost similar concept as if you're doing a wrapped loop. And you just want to make sure that there's no goofy, weird ends poking around that are going to get tangled in anything. Because they will get tangled in anything and everything. So I gave myself just a few millimeters there. And I'm going to take this and just continue kind of wrapping it around. No snags. I'm going to do that same thing to this other side. But I think just on the frame of the tree though. Because I've got a pretty decent spot right there in between some coils, or some spirals. I don't know why I use those words interchangeably. They are two different things. And I'm going to snip. And now this one, I'm actually going to use my round nose pliers and tuck and hide it behind. There we are. Y'all, I think I'm done. So if you guys enjoyed this tutorial, please let me know. Please like it and share it with your friends. Spread the learning, spread the love. Hey everybody. So I hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial. I really enjoyed getting to make and share this with you. It was pretty intense. Like there's a lot of wire wrapping going on here. I tried a lot of different stuff, including the cute little tree on the back. Oh! But if you guys enjoyed this tutorial, please like it and share it and comment and just let me know what you think. Tell all your friends. Also, I do a line of Patreon like giveaways. If you guys enjoy my work and want to... That's the song of my people. Every video now that it's warmer in February. Give me a minute. Okay, if you would like a chance to win one of my hand-sculpted fairy houses or wire trees or homes for the gnomeless, all it takes is becoming a $1 or more Patreon. If you become a $5 patron, you actually put your name in the hat 5 times, so it greatly increases your chance of winning. Sorry, that's such cheerful music, but it makes me want to set things on fire. So, yeah, and I actually have a tutorial coming very soon for this one for all y'all folks who have asked. But yeah, just $1 a month. The links are down in the comment link area below. And there could be a thing popping up on the screen right now that's like, support Yvonne Williams, that you can donate that way as well. And all the proceeds towards, for that go towards doing more tutorials, doing cooler giveaway prizes, and teaching panels at conventions. So I really appreciate all of y'all's support. Words are so hard. So again, thank you. This was another really long video, but it's like I want to cram all of this information into hopefully a helpful way for you guys. So Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Have a beautiful day. Give yourselves a big hug from me, and I love all of you. Bye.